What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Simulation for the Nation, and welcome back along to the West Coast, where today we're doing something a little bit different. I was recently talking to a friend of mine, and he requires a little bit of help. We are getting into mid-spring here, and he really needs to get some of his crops in the ground before it gets too late, really. So with that in mind, I'm borrowing a new little tractor here, and I've got a nice shiny setup on the back, and we're going to go and help him out, but I need to go and find him first. Now I gather that he's in a rather thirsty John Deere somewhere, so I need to go and see what he's doing. So we're going to head around the corner here. I think he's over at the gas station somewhere, but we're going to find him anyway. We're going to say hello to a gentleman that you may know all very well, and if you don't, you're about to. This is Marc Dupont, who is hiding away from me somewhere, but we'll go and find him. We'll go and say hello. So what I might do is just, I don't know, I'm probably going to have to pull off into the side somewhere here, and we'll go and see what's happening. It looks like here he is, blocking the whole place up. So we'll go and catch up with him, and then we'll come back to you in just a second.
Hey Sam, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, my man. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for coming out and lending a hand today. We're actually going to be doing some work on a yard that Sam has got us a contract for.
Oh, nice.
And we got these beautiful machines.
Oh, they just look at mine. It's huge.
I know. Sam's just made money. He gets these things in on demo all the time. This Axion is gorgeous. Look at the modeling on that.
He's got the ear of a dealer somewhere. I'd like to know how he's done it.
I think he's got a very, very patient banker, personally. So we're going to head down to, we're going to start at the fields down near where Frontier, what do you call it, distribution is, down at the other end over there. Sure. So if you want to just follow me down there. Absolutely. Let's see here. Get into it on the right direction. This is the kind of job that you need contractor equipment for, and contractors use big equipment.
Big shiny equipment as well. That's the best thing.
All right, let's just see if I can do this without ripping the fuel tanks out of here. Hang on, I'm gonna have to back up a little bit out of here.
I'll back up the street if you want to follow my route.
Yeah. You're gonna go all the way back, or
no? I'm just good.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this. I see where you're going with this. All right.
We don't want to start
back that up a little bit more. Beautiful. We're out of trouble for now. Now, warning, traffic. Where are they? They're all good. And European style. I have to keep saying that because, or English style, because I end up on the wrong side of the road all the time. So let's see here.
This village is
might
narrow.
have bumped that truck.
I've just forced my way out in front of a poor lady, but she'll hopefully.
So for the people on my channel, this is Simulation for the Nation. And a couple of days ago, he got in touch with me. He subscribed to my channel, and we started talking. And I didn't even realize that you were doing this stuff.
Do you know what? It's the weirdest thing.
It's pretty incredible, too, because it seems like in a lot of ways, we seem to have a very similar attitude towards the farm sim thing.
Yeah, and like, as I've kind of mentioned to you off screen a few times when we've been chatting about this, like it appears that we both came up with the idea almost simultaneously. We both started to kind of put feelers out there at the same time. We both realised that there was a gap in the market. Oh, someone's just crashed into me. And so it was something that we really wanted to kind of explore. And it's, for me, it's about kind of providing something a little bit different. Providing
Absolutely.
those, because the community is vast and very well stocked with people who have a fond interest in, be it just the modelling aspect or the actual gameplay aspect, or it's in some cases it's just, it's just in the blood, and that's they just have to kind of get agriculture in any way they can. And I as we were discussing, really, it's like about finding that new approach and to show the game and the community in a bit of a different light, really.
Well, that's it. And for me, I'll put a link just up there. You can hit that little I button now, people. But there's Simulation did a show with Dusty Dave. Was it last week or the week before?
It was last Saturday gone. Yeah.
Last Saturday, yeah. So it was the thing about it that really struck me is that the modders in this community tend to kind of live in the shadows. They're almost to the majority of the players, they're kind of inaccessible. And I've never really felt that way about all those people. I've talked to Dusty Dave in the past, and Bullet Bill and Oxygen David, and those guys are incredibly accessible and incredibly friendly. And I love the fact that you got him on to just discuss his philosophies and discuss his way of doing it. And he was so generous in being able to share his ideas with you. I thought that was really interesting.
It was, and I have a massive debt of gratitude to him for allowing me to, or for him to be the first really on this kind of alien concept really.
Yeah.
But as I was talking to him about it, I was saying exactly those things. It's like, you're known for producing, in his case, I think he's had about 5 or 6 different maps out across his kind of mapping career, if you would like to call it such.
Yeah.
And but no one really knows why he does it, what led him to doing such a thing, or his interests or anything like that. And it was a nice opportunity to get in there and figure that out, because a lot of people know him as, like you say, Dusty Dave off of SFUK, who
that's it
launches maps every once in a while, and there's so much more to him, and I think it was only fair that people kind of get to know what that is. So yeah, it was great.
If you want to do the headlands, if you actually want to do the headlands at the other end of the field, I'll do these headlands here, and then once we've got 3 or 4 stripes and we can give ourselves a place to turn around, then we'll start going up and down.
All right then, yeah, no problem. I've got a lot of weight on this.
It's just there's a bit of a slope at this end of the field, so I don't think we'll be able to do it sort of east and west. So it might take a little bit of doing here. Yeah. Okay, so now I gotta lower the tool.
My headland might look a little bit strange, just to warn you, but I'm gonna factor in the gate here for turning around, so it's going to be a bit of a dogleg, but it'll probably work for the best.
Okay. So let's see here. Where am I? Oh no, that's that. Okay, and that, and
there we go.
Okay. Okay, I got the right tool. Start up the seeder. Start up the cultivator. Just do a little test pass here to make sure I got everything running. And put her in. Am I seeding? Yep, I'm seeding. All right, so it's going to be a little bit of work doing this with the more realistic, because it's a bit of an aggressive hill.
It's slow but sneaky. It's how I describe it.
Okay. Now I got the seeder on. But once we start going side to side, we'll be going with the grain of the hill. We're going to be going with the slope. It should be quite doable. My question now is, will this John Deere pull this seeder rig up? Okay, hang on. Turn that back down. I need to set that up so that the cultivator comes up. Nope. That's the one. Okay. Back it out of the hole. Come on, out of the hole. And up we go. Come on. Oh wow, I can't be going into this ditch. There it is. Okay. I got her out. Woof, that was close. All right, so I may not be able to see the very corners of this field, because it's once you get off the into the grass, I'm having problems with traction getting back up. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you've got a real dip in the corner there. It's really oh, I've got to slide on.
Lower that down again. See what we can do.
There we go.
Up she goes. Come on. 3 kilometers an hour.
It's looking slow.
No, it's not working. I got to go to. I'm gonna have to go to the top and just do downhill seating for a little while.
Alright then, I'm gonna just tighten this end up a little bit scruffy.
This is always my contention with MR, is that in the end you have to treat it. The reason why it's realistic to me is you have to treat it as another challenge in the game. And there are times when you just won't be able to do things the way you just used to do it with just the vanilla game, right?
Absolutely, and I think it's a very good point, because like when when the vanilla game was all that you had,
right?
It was very easy to suddenly start, I don't know, drilling wheat at 17 miles an hour and you think nothing of it, and it becomes the norm. And I think it's great to be able to dial that back when you want to, and be able to adjust it. So I think that's really fascinating, and it's great. And I mean, as we've been discussing, I think there's a few adjustments because, like you say, it's still very much a working concept. But it's great. It brings such a new whole level of realism, really, to the franchise, and it's what ultimately I think that's what most users would be striving for.
I still believe that the ones of us that play this game on a simulated level, the ones of us that are looking for simulated gameplay, are still the vast minority. I kind of when you look at the fact that I think it's 60% of the business model is based around console players, and the ones that play this game with all the mods and with MR and with seasons and all that. I kind of feel like we are very much a minority in this game, and that's why we sort of have to take care of ourselves and take care of each other.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I certainly would. And I think it's very evident when you see how people kind of become a little bit disinterested when Seasons is forcing you to fertilize the field 4 times or 3 times, and you've got to do that over and over again, and people get a bit disinterested with that. But then, that's what happens. That's pretty much how it goes. And if you don't do it, then you don't grow a crop, and then you don't make any income. So it doesn't get more realistic than that, really.
No, that's it. You can't just the idea that you can just grind a field and every 3 days get another crop was really nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I first played the Goldcrest map, that's exactly how I played it. I just got myself all the fields and I started grinding crops. Yeah. And it was fine for a while, but the progression in the game and your ability to get skills that you can. I'm just going to try to do a straight line here, which may be a bit tough because I don't feel like the field calls for it. But like things like this where I'm pulling a seeder on a steep incline sideways, and I'm getting slipped sort of off the hill a little bit. Yeah. I mean, to me, that alone is worth the MR.
Absolutely.
Now,
for me,
now
just
if you look at it and you think about it as a limitation, then okay, then it's not for you. Then you got to go back to playing it the other way, and that option is there for you.
What I really like is, I mean, obviously we're using stock machines here with the DLC pack, but so they all have the more realistic enabled, and when you lift these devices up, or these machines up, do you see how they react? And that's it. It's completely different, and it's they roll and they rock with the gravity and the landscape. So it's that you can't replicate without this.
No, that's it, and that's where it becomes worth it, right? That's where you start thinking about how when you've got your seeder up in the air and it's only suspended by the 3-point. It does that little rocking motion, and I think that's to my farming, that's important to feel that and to get that in there. No. Now, if they could put in things like force feedback and things like that in the next version, that would be next level stuff. But certainly, I feel like going in that direction is a good thing. Are you okay? You seem to be a little stuck.
Hi. Figuring out the gearbox mod. I admit I don't use that, and for some reason I can't engage my gear. So I'm wondering. It's kind of weird.
You're trying to engage reverse gear?
Yeah. Let me see here. I'm gonna just.
And you know how to turn it off, right?
Equal on off-road space. Yeah, so it's. Let's change that to. We'll go for that one. There we go. Better. Already. Let's pretend that never happened.
Okay.
So.
Check.
Do you want to split the field down the middle? How would you like to get on with this?
Yeah, we could do it. I kind of feel like we need to start where you are and work our way downhill. I think that would probably be the easiest way to go. So if you go ahead and follow your contour just off to your left, I'm going to come in right beside you and seat up alongside of you.
Okay.
Because what I like doing about that is that then the viewers get my first person view, but they also get to see you doing it, and they kind of get a 2-for-1.
So if I kind of go in that direction, how does that look for you?
Yep, you pick a direction. I'll come alongside you.
All right. Let's see.
If you want, like you can see where I started at the bottom over there. We
Yeah.
might do it a little bit diagonally compared to what the actual field is, but a little bit more to your left, I would say, is where you want to be going.
Okay, we can amend that. Oh, that's a bit too much. Perfect.
There you go. If you shoot for about a quarter of the way down the field where I've got the headlands over there, I think you'll be bang on.
Okay, continue on. Let's go.
There you go. Yep, your seater's on.
Superb stuff. So yeah, it was fascinating. I was remarking to one of the guys just before that how we kind of we both kind of bumped in or like stumbled across each other's channels. I think like we messaged each other, or I was about to message you when you messaged me saying, "Oh my God, we're doing the same kind of content here. We're doing the same show." It's like, how have we not stumbled across each other prior to this? And yeah, it's in the community we're in. It's a big community, but at the same time, for something like that, it's not that big. You know, if we're both doing the same kind of thing. But it's. Oh, where are you? Oh, you're back there.
I'm having you might want to come back. I'm having issues trying to find my my seater here. Hang on a second.
Okay.
And select that one. Start it up. And down. And select that one. And down. Let's see that. Can I start her up from there?
Get rid of the GPS. We're gonna eyeball this.
Seating picture. Yeah, I got seating. Good.
Nailed it.
Okay, so if you want to come back along the right-hand side of your line, I will catch up, and I will. Then we'll reset to come downhill.
Love it.
Now that I think I have it figured out.
Alrighty then, we're away.
This is always my issue with doing things without a HUD, because I play with no HUD on. So
yeah,
the tractors and the mods are not quite ready yet for that kind of gameplay, where you should have more information in the cab about the position of your tool and the position of your tractor. So that's not bad. Actually, if you want to do that side, I'll do this side, and then I'll come and help you on your side.
Okay, that works. I just accidentally enabled my gearbox mod again, so we'll turn that off. That's better. There we go. Now we're farming. Now we're going.
There we go. So do you have a background in farming, or where did your interest come from?
I do, yeah. So I grew up on on many farms actually. My dad is now a retired farmer, so that's kind of the old saying of, you take the boy off the farm, but the farm never leaves the boy is very much true. So that's where it kind of came from, and then I've moved around and done many different things, but that interest has always been there, and it was always about trying to, keep an interest going, but whilst finding that fix for a good realistic simulation game as well. So I would say late FS11 I stumbled upon Farming Simulator, and then obviously from there the rest is kind of history really.
Everything escalates from there on in.
Yeah, it does, and it's it's great to follow the franchise through the changes, but it's certainly something that through 13 and 15 I kind of dipped in and out of a little bit, and then it really kind of came back through the latter stages of 15, and then the obviously where we are today in 17.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people like to harken back to the golden days of Farm Sim 13 and all that stuff, but I joined it in Farm Sim 15, And the quality of the models and the quality of the mods and the things that Giants have now included in the game, like the plowing, like the fertilization.
Yeah,
I feel like there's no time like the present, really. The quality of everything that we're seeing now in the game is absolutely stunning.
And like when you compare the machines we're driving today, for example, against the stock machines that Giants will make, like the New Holland tractors, for example. Yeah. There are very few mods that come close to their modeling, and they are so well designed, so well constructed that they really do add a new facet. And then every year they keep rolling out another manufacturer to go with it, and then another one, whilst retaining the first few, which is just it's unrivaled, really. It really, really is.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, when I saw the models that came out with 17, it was amazing to me how they basically set the bar for the quality of the mods that the mod creators were going to be able to put out that were going to be acceptable.
Yeah.
And it's things like this John Deere, where, I mean, people always think I have something against John Deere, but my problem with John Deere was always the fact that people were taking Farm Sim 13 mods and doing rudimentary convert.
Yeah.
And they didn't stand up to what the in-game machines were doing in terms of textures, in terms of the controls on the interiors, and so on and so forth. Now, for me, things like IC are not as important as having a point of view within the cab which is completely immersive.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's where I find Farm Sim 17 kind of hit it out of the park. Is you can sit inside one of these tractors. If you go to a tractor show and you sit inside a John Deere or you sit inside a New Holland, it feels familiar to you because you've played the game. And that's the kind of immersion that I've always looked for in mods.
And that's it. Like, I'm, aside from FS at the moment, I've been dabbling with Train Sim World. And the immersion when you step into any of the locomotives there is outstanding. There's so you can toggle everything on or off. You can do you can make everything happen, and I truly don't believe we're not too far away from seeing that here. Where the switches are genuine switches that look like you could reach out and touch them, and that when you do hover a mouse over it, you will turn on a ceiling fan or an interior light or something. Something small like that, but those small features add on that whole extra element, really. Certainly from when I remember.
I mean, when I hit the toggle on this tractor here, I mean, the ignition switch works. If I want to turn my tractor on using the key on this machine, I can do it using the key. And that to me is exactly where I want to see this game going.
And what I find is fascinating, if you look at like sort of cattle and crops and the development that's coming there, they are going to, whether they want to or not, they are forcing Giants' hands to really step up. Because if you look at how the models are designed there, again, you step into, I think they have a class action there, similar to this one. And the modeling inside is exactly the same. Everything is tangible, everything has a function, which is great. So, and that can only benefit what we're seeing here, because Giants going to have to step up somewhere, and they're going to have to...
Well, that's it.
It's one thing
they
to
have
the
to understand that if Cattle and Crops comes along and creates the buzz that they have about the kind of gameplay that they're hoping to offer, and I still say hoping to offer, because what I've seen so far has been a really amazing beta testing or even alpha testing kind of gameplay.
100%.
And when we get their finished product, if Giants is tracking the progress of that game and paying attention, then before that game comes out, we'll have 19. And that will be the telling point of, is Giants going to take the simulation players seriously? Are they going to continue to chase the big numbers on console and on arcade-style play?
Yeah.
Which in the end is going to come down to a business decision, right?
And unfortunately, with those kinds of business decisions, they always tend to lean to the side of, well, which will make us more revenue.
Yes.
Which is my grave concern, that we lose that extra realism because they stick with the same physics engines, maybe kind of polish them up a little bit. But at this stage, you've got to question, have they been kind of polished to the highest extent? Is there any further they can go with this? And if they do stick with the same engine because of cross-platform operations, then it's going to be tricky, I think. I'm sure they've got it in the powers to make something work, but I'm getting to the opinion that go on, sorry.
Yeah.
Just as much as I like seeing a new brand, if they brought, let's say, I don't know, for argument's sake, John Deere came to it. Not that I believe that would happen. If that did, that's great, fantastic, and I'm sure the models would look amazing. But those models only go so far when the environment is kind of with strain in what they can actually do.
That's it. And that's going to be the test, right? Is that if they can create a game like what they did with the plowing and with the fertilization, where you have an option of playing it that way or not. So if you could put in the escape menu, what level of realism are you looking for? Are you looking for arcade? Are you looking for level 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yeah.
Are you looking for a gearbox? Do you want a manual gearbox? Do you want just a shuttle control? Like, that's the kind of things that I would love to see them implement just within their escape menu to give us the full inventory and the full ability to pick and choose where we put, which level we want to play the game at.
Yeah, and
I think it's within their power to do it.
I think it is, and what gave me that kind of crumb of hope, if you like, is the arrival of Seasons to consoles, which I don't think any of us saw coming, except for those who maybe had like the inside ear. But it's like that just means that when they want to do it, it might take a lot of time and resources to make it happen, but it's well within the realms of possibility to actually implement these great mods. Seasons is a game changer.
Absolutely.
And it's I can't play a game without it now. I just think it offers so much. So it's, if they can continue to bring in things like that, maybe a slightly diluted version, more realistic, for example, then they are at least trying.
Or simply change the behavior of the tractors, so that they will when you buy them, you can select where you want to be. Sort of like we do now, where we can decide, do we want a gearbox or not? Do we want MR or not? I think like you said though, when they said yes to Seasons, and when they worked on they put the energy into getting Seasons past Sony and Microsoft, that was groundbreaking. I mean, people were excited because Seasons came to console, but the more exciting part of that is that Giants put in the time, the energy, the resources, the man hours to have that discussion with their console developers. That's where, if they've opened up that channel, if they've opened up those doors where that's a possibility, that gives me no end of hope that Giants has understood that their game is being played as a simulator by some people, and that they need to be responsive to that.
Yeah, definitely. And what I found was really alarming, or not alarming, but very surprising, was the sheer scale of the market that's held by consoles. I mean, I knew it was growing. I knew it was quite significant, but to have the majority was quite surprising. And it's nice to see that they're not just sticking with like the basic vanilla game. They are offering, like you say, the more realism, because it's probably one of the few simulation games that you can actually get on console at the moment that has a unique following, such as FS. So it's from that perspective, it's really fascinating to see. I think, at least, and then, like I say, it does offer that olive branch for where we might go with 19.
Absolutely. And again, the Horse Pack was another turning point where they released that. I mean, they were kind of clumsy about the release with their trying to make it exclusive and all that, but it was that in that clumsiness, the end product, when you buy those into the game and you start walking around them and you start seeing how the hoses move and how the parts move and all that stuff, I mean, above the Platinum DLC, the Horse Pack was an amazing illustration that Giants sort of looks at their models and says, we can do better. And that's very encouraging in terms of a game player, that they've internally made those decisions. Obviously, I would love to get a Giants employee on this show and talk to them about just in terms of the general culture within the company, to see, are they farmers? Are they are they game players? Do they understand how we play the game?
Yeah.
Because there are moments when you're playing this game, especially in multiplayer, where you seriously ask yourself, do these people ever play the game? Because synchronization would no longer be a thing if they were actually playing the game.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So it's just those things, right? I'd love to get a bug in their ear to see where they're coming from with it.
Well, you never know. I think it's well within the realms of possibility to get someone sat down here. A few more blockbuster people.
I think I'm gonna start working their Discord at some point soon.
Yeah, it's a war of attrition, my man. You just gotta keep going.
Yeah. All right, I'll take the last pass at it, and I think we're done this field. Are you coming back towards me now?
I am. Yeah. I'm leaving you a little strip.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to pull out of your way, and then you finish that strip, and then I'll get the last one. Perfect. I am having some issues with my transmission getting up this hill.
I'm probably going to have to come and give you a little nudge there.
Yeah, I think I'm good. What I've been doing is basically what I do is I put it into park, and I rev up the engine, and that lets me come out of the hole a little bit.
There we go.
Just bump start it. All right,
stop,
don't go down the hill. Speed up and down we go. All right, excellent work.
Look at this.
How are you doing for seed there?
I am 66% remaining, so I'm more than fine.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Is there another field behind us here? Is there one to the south of us, or?
There is, but it is not cultivated. It is stubble at the moment.
Perfect. That's why we have the power harrows on the front of it.
We can go and give those a work.
We can chop that up.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Beautiful. And power that down. All right. So I'll come out the gate over here. And we'll make a right turn at the gate and head into that other field.
Yeah, I'm just going to tidy up this little corner on my way out, and then I'll be right behind you.
Okay. Don't be too intimidated by the corners. I think that the corners are going to be especially difficult for us with the harvesters. So I kind of feel like a lot of that corner crop is going to get lost in the process.
All right, that's cool. Perfect.
I'm one of those farmers that I shoot for 99%. If it's not economically feasible to get to the crop, leave the crop.
That's got some good logic behind it there.
Yeah.
I'm just stubborn, I think. I just try and get it
traffic.
all.
Hang on. Sorry, buddies. Sorry, guys. I'm in the way. All right, I'm good.
You're bigger. It's fine.
Now, where is the gate for this one? It is... I think it's in this roundabout, actually.
I've never actually been in
the roundabout. Is it after the roundabout? That is a fence. But is it a gate? Let me go around the roundabout once. I'm going to frustrate this driver behind me.
Can't see. I'm blind. Oh, there we go. Any joy?
They're following me.
You've got a bit of a tail now.
There we go.
There you go.
Alright, let's go this way now.
I'm fairly sure the cars on the west coast hate me.
Ah, found it. Okay. Just gonna... Oh, there's no gate on this field. Perfect. Oh, car. Alright. I find actually that the work that Bill did on this map for traffic is quite impressive. I'm going to go do the headlands at the other end. You start at the gate.
Alrighty then.
Like he managed to stretch out the nose cone on them so that they have a little bit more detection.
Yeah.
They're moving a little faster, but if you play them right, if you sort of get them in the right place, they will detect you and not mash you all to hell.
So you've gone up to the north end of the field, am I right? Oh, yeah, there you are.
There you go.
Okay, stop.
Okay, I think this is going to be another one of those fields that we're going to have to seed downhill. Let's make sure I got everything on. Yep, I got everything on.
No way.
Beautiful.
Crushing it. Doing really well.
So the other thing I really enjoyed is that when you were playing this game, you basically, it's like you're telling yourself a little story in your head. You really immerse yourself in the map and you immerse yourself in the story, which is always something I've done even before I was doing the videos. I always had a certain amount of role play in my gameplay.
Yeah, and I think it's important. It's something I've always done there, where I kind of like you. I kind of plot out in my own head, okay, so I'm going to come in, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then I don't know if it's just because I'm a bit strange or it was always meant to be this way, but I just found that I would start to narrate it as I was going through there, and then it's my want to kind of elaborate on what I'm doing and provide that kind of that narrative behind it with a little. I hate using the words realism or
I hate that
realistic,
too.
but it's I just want to make it as true to my experiences as possible, because it's what I know and it's what I've done for quite a few years before I moved around and changed careers. So it's it's natural for me to kind of talk about it, and because I know there are people out there who are genuinely interested in how it works, and this might be their insight. And I like to, if I can provide just a little bit of information about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, then I will. And quite often, if I look at specific varieties of canola, for example,
right,
and put some story together as to why we're using that in this field, because it's suitable for X, Y, and Z soil types, and
for the climate and the moisture,
exactly,
and the soil type, and
it's when you're
and that's the thing too, that the more I played the game, I mean, when I first started playing the game, it was the only scorecard was the money.
Yeah.
The only scorecard I could keep is, can I make a profit doing this, or can I make a profit doing that? But that led to me playing the game by sort of playing the mechanics of the game.
Exactly.
Not playing farming, but playing game mechanics. So I would cheat different things, and I knew that the game was derped out on this thing or that thing, and I would play those derps to be able to make the money. And it kind of lost meaning after a while, where what I really wanted to do is, can I be a thoughtful and a farmer, like have a relationship to the land that makes me want to do it well and want to do it right.
What I always found
that's where my role play came from, is that I stopped looking at the money aspect and I started looking at the job. What is the job? And the job to me has become, in Farm Sim, looking after the farm, not doing the accounting, not all that stuff. That has to be done, of course. There are limits to what you can do because of finance, but the real joy is doing the 3 stages of fertilization, being creative about trying organics for a little while, and doing weeding and doing slurry, and that to me is where the joy of this game has really come into its own.
And it's a very interesting point you make, because I was always taught that when we were younger, if we would take on a piece of land, for example, like a new piece of tenancy land that we'd be farming ourselves, and we'd always want it on a minimum of, say, a 3 or a 4 year lease, because it takes you at least the first 2 years to get the soil in the condition you want.
That's it.
So you want to make sure it's rich in nutrients, and you want to make sure it's had the right cultivation and irrigation, all these things that without which you can't grow a good crop.
Go ahead, I'll pull in behind you.
Okay, cool. And so that's what I really want to try and implement. And I said about, like, I frequently on one of my series, at least, I return to like a spreadsheet that I have, which is like a crop rotation spreadsheet. And I have a crop cycle I rotate through for each field, and okay, so it's drilled here with this, and then next year that means it's going to be in with this, and as my aim, at least, is to, as we progress through this, a harvest, and we go into drilling, we'll kind of focus on why we're doing that, what are the reasons for putting this in behind this crop.
That's it.
Just because then that drills down to that reality that, yes, you can have all these shiny new machines on your farm, but they're all useless if you've got arid soil conditions and you can't grow anything but weeds. You're not going to make a profit, and you're not going to have anything to play with.
And you're always looking at the long game, like over the period of 2 or 3 years. how am I going to grow? Like my first crop of potatoes needs to be part of my seed for the second year of potatoes,
Exactly,
and then
yeah.
I'm going to need to put nutrients back in. So I have to do the radish in between the two, and aerate the soil, and
Yeah,
I mean
and-
all of those things are. I mean, I am not a farmer. I have never been a farmer, but my interest in the industry and in the practices of farming, that's what informs my gameplay.
Yeah, and like, I pay a lot of attention to changes in agricultural practices. With environmental changes, there's always these new bits of technology. I'll let you spin around and go up first. I'll stay in the corner here. There's new technology that comes out that makes like maybe drilling more efficient, and there's a new machine that comes out and makes this more efficient and reduces the likelihood of this or X, Y, Z. And you want to try and implement those things, and it's I've often thought of it as like it's not you wouldn't budget across one like calendar year. You'd budget across maybe 3, 4, or 5 calendar years, because there's so much more going into it. You don't just plant your crop today for tomorrow's harvest. You plant it for the next 4 or 5 years' harvest.
And seasons has given us that element of risk too, right?
Totally
I've lost crops of soy because of wetness. I've lost crops of soy because I planted them too early.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that when you're farming, you get all the best information you can, but
exactly, yeah.
Being able to add back into the game that element of risk, which is what farming is. You're always trying to cover all your bets, but in the end, you're at the mercy of your farm, your soil, your climate, your markets. Everything plays into, are you going to be a profitable farmer? But that doesn't take away from the fact that you can be a good farmer.
No, absolutely. I'm not sure about yourself, but in this modern world of like podcasts, and which is I guess kind of part of where I got the idea for this series. Like, there's a few agricultural podcasts I listen to where they discuss all these different issues and matters, and a lot of them say that it's like, well, I'm a modern farmer, but I'm not a good farmer, and they say that because I haven't used. I'm not very good with predicting how my soil would react to this. All right, I'm going to do a big figure of 8 here. So it's very interesting to hear them kind of say that, and bracket themselves in such a way. It didn't quite work, but yeah, it's so much more about planning now. And when you think about it, if you rewind the clocks 50, 60 years, they'd never had any of the machines you see here, but they still managed to work the land and get the best out of it. At that time.
But 50, 60 years ago, the crops that we get now, the crops that the density of crop that farmers nowadays are able to pull out of their land are, 200% what it used to be several years ago.
Yeah,
because, like these seeders that we're using today, I mean, these are fairly analog seeders. But if you look at the Vadestadt seeders and you look at some of the John Deere seeders, where they have individual GPS points for each of the seed
with the
nozzles, and you can overlap seeding, and it won't plant a seed where you've already planted it, and you have sprayers that will turn themselves on and off so that you minimize your use of product. Those are the kind of things that are amazing, but I feel like the way that I farm and the way that I play the game, it's less important to me than the analog side of it, than actually being able to put the seeds in the ground in some sort of a skilled manner.
Yeah. No, I agree. And one thing I would say is a kind of caveat there. Have you seen like any YouTube videos of when a sprayer has automatic shut off, and when it actually works, it's almost hypnotic to watch.
Really?
It's just the way. There's like no change in the speed of the machine, but it just shuts off section by section when it reaches a certain point, and it's just glorious to watch. Maybe again, that's just the nerd inside of me, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, I've got a friend who's installing that mod, the sprayer add-on onto a sprayer for me, and you actually have to change each of the nozzles to have different nodes and all sorts of. It's pretty amazing.
I looked into that, and I figured out at that time it was beyond my capabilities in Notepad++. But
well, no, he actually had to take the model into GE, unfold the arms, find the individual nodes for each of the spray nozzles and move them around. And it took him the better part of 2 or 3 days. I mean, it's a guy named Genetic Gaming that I play on here. He was on here last night.
Okay.
And it took him a couple of days to get it right. But the sense of accomplishment that he has from being able to do it, he's pretty proud of himself.
I am full of admiration for anyone who can A, can model and model well, and B, can, take a mod that's not working into GE and figure it out and tweak it and improve it. I don't I don't do mod reviews or anything like that because I just don't think it's fair for me to do it because I can't. I'm only just learning how to do GE now on for a map I'm kind of playing with, and that's the extent.
I'll get started. You can come in behind me.
Yeah, cool. That's kind of like the extent of what I'm doing, and like I can never take a. I tried to take a John Deere I was using on the West Coast in because I wanted to put my logos on, make a logo for the farm practice and everything, and it just wouldn't work. And I kept trying to get this useless thing to work, and it wouldn't. Like, it doesn't seem to be that hard, but for some reason it just would never show in game. So I was like, oh, do you know what? Screw it. I'll leave it for now, and I'll.
Yep. It's one of those things that was my first mod too. Is I put my sticker on a couple of vehicles, and I was taught how to do it twice before I finally got it right. And it becomes a gateway drug because it's like this map. The map is absolutely perfect, but like any map that I play, I always tweak it a little bit. I move things around. I remove some triggers. I move into the map.
And that's exactly
you start off by doing that, and then you get to a point where, okay, that's good enough. But what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And it takes a while, before you can look at an XML file and understand what it's doing, understand what the author is trying to make different things do.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point like maybe it takes a month, maybe it takes 2 months, and all of a sudden it just clicks. And you can look at an XML file and go, oh, that's where that is. Oh, that's where the springs are. That's why this thing is too heavy, or that's why this thing takes, 2,000 liters in a front loader bucket.
I'll let you go again. Yeah, and it's a very good point, and I find that...
Go ahead and make your turn. I'll pull in behind you for this one.
Cool. When you, like you say, when you move into a map, I think it adds that immersion because you find that, there'll be suddenly a need to put up a new shed in real life, or there'll be need to clear out a yard to do something or other. And I think, that adds to it because you find that the way your game save is going, the way your storyline is going, you suddenly develop that need to include something.
Exactly.
And I even toyed with the idea. There was a video of mine that we were talking about the other day with the ploughing kind of demonstration.
Right.
And I was toying with the idea of going in to GE and just putting up a whole load of manufacturers' flags that you would get down by the store, just to make it feel like a.
There you go.
Like an actual dealership,
like a field show.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. And I didn't get around to it, I think, or we ran out of time to get that in. So I missed out. But it's just little things like that adds so much to a game. And the placeables go so far, but then I just feel like to make it really look like it fits and belongs there, that you have to go into GE and play around a little bit.
I have real issues with placeables. They have placeables have rather large footprints.
Yeah, huge.
And I find that those footprints are what end up making them look artificial. They have a function, don't get me wrong. They fulfill that function, but in terms of making something look like it belongs, that's something you can only do by going into GE, sticking in the building, putting in the grassy edges around it. Go ahead, I'll follow you on this one too.
Yeah, and just kind of making sure the terrain matches the building and making sure everything marries in.
100%. And SimStation actually did a really good, I don't know if you follow SimStation.
I do, yeah.
But he did a really nice video where he put in those global market silos and then turned around and went back into GE and modified the ground around the silos to be able to make them look like they belong there, make them look like they fit.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting how he pulled it off.
No, I do think...
How are we doing for seed now?
Ooh, 44%. So still rolling well.
Wow.
Yeah. How about you?
This thing is very well MR'd.
Yeah. We're doing all right. I just got a nice shot of you in my rear view mirror as well.
There you go.
That's good. Perfect. Should concentrate on keeping a straight line.
Just gonna lift up so I don't destroy the grass here.
And I think
And I'll drop it back down on the other side.
For anyone who watches this who doesn't follow SimStation as well, he's a very good channel to follow because of the exact same reasons. You know, his immersion and his storylines are really, really good.
And he comes from a farming background, and
exactly, yeah.
90% of his shows become about the way things are done and why they're done that way.
Yeah.
And although his experience comes from a North American large agriculture, big giant flat field kind of world,
the concepts
the fundamental things that he talks about, those are the things you can apply to your game, right?
Oh, 100%,
I mean, the way that I now do headlands first and when I'm seeding, and I then come around and fill in the middle, that's all SimStation. He explained to me ground compaction and how, you know, it's not a bad thing to compact a crop once it's in the ground, but you have to do it at the right time and all that stuff. That's all SimStation.
Yeah, and it's all things that, you know, you may never know yourself, but then when someone tells you, like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, and then you'll add that to your repertoire and continue to use that for every gameplay that you turn to in the future. But yeah,
and you also find ways within the game, no matter how limited people say or how much of an arcade game people say it is, you find mods, you find ways to replicate it because you know what you're looking for. Yeah, you know why you want a machine to work that way.
And the great thing is you can guarantee that if you're thinking about it or, you know, you're experiencing this problem, then you're probably not the only one. So someone with a similar mindset has probably either attempted to fix the issue with a mod or a script, or has someone who's fixed it for them. And so one message out in the forum and it's, you know,
that's the other thing too, right? You know, we talked earlier about guys like Dusty Dave and Bullet Bill and Oxygen who are and even, you know, GTX and people who seem so inaccessible and whose names you see just as a credit on a mod, those guys are incredibly accessible.
Yeah.
If you ask them in the right way, if you approach them in the right way with courtesy and with patience, they may not do it for you. But I found that all of those people have answered my emails. They've answered my Facebook messages. They've pointed me in a direction where I could solve the problem myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the main thing is that they want people to enjoy the map, you know, as much as anybody. And if maybe adding a script or teaching someone how to go into GE and moving the barn somewhere else helps them do that, then that's great because that enhances their enjoyment even further.
Exactly.
And I think it's about time they got the kind of the recognition for that side of things rather than the impatience really that strikes them a lot. Like now, for example, as the community waits for Oakfield to arrive, everyone knows it's going to be fantastic, but there's just a lot of impatience there, which I don't think is really fair for the modders when, you know, it's not in their hands and they're waiting for it as much as everyone else. So it's
but I also react to those things by thinking that is, you know, in terms of my experience of this community, that is an incredible minority.
Absolutely.
Most of the people that I play with, that I play around, understand processes and stuff like that. There is of course a young, impulsive side to the game that does, you know, not know how to interact with people properly, not know how to ask questions properly. And they will, you know, always be a bit of a problem in terms of stressing out modders and doing all that stuff. So, but I find that those people are in a lot of ways given too much credit. Like they're given too much attention for what this community is and has become.
Yeah.
So
I'm a huge fan of peer pressure, so I'm sure we can get them all in, and then we'll
There you go.
we'll really push them.
All right, everybody, have a good night. We'll talk to you soon. I'll let you do your sign off now. Do you want to go back in the tractors to do your sign off, or do you want to do it from here?
Do you know what? No, I think we can do it from here. Actually,
Okay.
no, let's jump back into them. That'd be great.
Okay. So you cue me when you want me to jump out.
I'm just going to kind of reverse back into you a bit. Oh, stop. Oh, I just actually crashed into you there. Oh, well. Alrighty, guys, I'm just going to disengage this, and out we go. We are done. I think
Beautiful.
This is looking
Just 2
pretty
fields.
good. Look at this, huh?
Yeah, I think that they'll be happy.
I never get tired of looking over the coastline to see that sun. I'm not sure about you, but there are some fantastic vantage points from around here. Particularly with these 2 fine machines in front of us.
I know, eh? They're beautiful.
I think I have 57 minutes on the clock now, so I think I've taken up more than enough of your time. I would like to thank you very much for allowing me to come and join you here.
It's been an absolute pleasure any old time.
We must do it again. I think we should have a, like you mentioned there, we should gang up on a few people and force them to come and have a chat. I
Yeah.
think that's a winning formula down the line. For anyone who doesn't already, how can they find you, Mark?
Just Marc Dupont. I'm assuming you're going to put a tag at the end of the show or something like that.
Well, yeah. for
Come on
sure.
in.
Love it. I would highly recommend it. There are some fantastic interviews and storylines to follow along there. And I'm very jealous. One of your intros is better than mine as well, so I'm very jealous of that. But yeah, so do stick around and join in with Mark, and don't forget to subscribe to him as well. We will see you in the next one. If you've liked this, then don't forget to hit that like button, and also share some love for Mark over there as well. Be much appreciated on both sides. But for now, thank you very much for watching. As always, stay safe, enjoy what you're doing, but most importantly, happy farming.